This is a video that has turned out to be something completely different than I anticipated. We're gonna talk about Christmas and your responses to my question were pretty heartbreaking. Welcome to another episode of the Marathon. My name's Mare. Please lace up and subscribe. There's a link below to subscribe to my channel. Life's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I post multiple videos every single week, vlogs, and as we head into December, I'll be vlogging every single day leading up to Christmas. And this video is all about Christmas. We have a Marathoner Facebook group and you're welcome to join us. There's also a link down below. You just have to answer a couple questions and then I will let you in. And I put up a question yesterday and within minutes there were dozens of comments and this has blown me away. So I asked, like, hey, if anyone's willing to share, do you have anything that is upsetting at Christmas? Anything that I could help with? Like, what do you find tough about the Christmas season? And friends, this should be such an indication about the Christmas season. All we see is people going to parties and shopping and exchanging gifts and being with family, and from the outside, it looks like everyone is having this most magical Christmas season. Everyone loves it. Their tree is up. It's all just like, everyone's having such a great time. But the response to that question in such a short amount of time, people were commenting faster than I could read, has shown me that I think it's harder for more people than it is amazing. Like, I think the percentage of people who struggle during the holidays is more than those who just find it like all-encompassing, beautiful, incredible. And that is incredibly eye-opening to me because as someone who struggles during the holidays, and they've been difficult for me for a few years now, I didn't know that. You know, you think you're the only one who's like not having a good time or who doesn't have family around or is like struggling for a bunch of reasons. But I have a full page of comments and lots of them were like the same-ish issues like throughout the thread. So I had thought I'd be answering like specific questions, but this video is much different. So when I asked like, what are some things that you struggle with at Christmas time? This is the response that I got. Budgeting, when you don't have enough money to buy gifts, rest, being tired all the time, not having the energy to do a bunch of stuff, and feeling like you're letting people down because you're not going to all of the occasions. Expectations across the board. Too much stress, family, whether it was you feel pressure to see everyone or you have no one around you or the family dynamics are crap. There was lots of discussion about toxic people in a family, toxic relationships, people who don't talk, people who you've cut out, and then the expectation is that you have to see them at Christmas because you don't want to upset your parents, and people feeling obligated to give, like they don't even want to be buying gifts, but they feel this obligation to give to so many people. Or they are purging their house and they don't just like want random crap, like they don't want gifts just for the sake of it. Grieving, feeling lonely. So much guilt was in the thread. Guilt of saying no, guilt of not being with people, not being able to do everything, pressure to do everything, pressure to make it magical, having a split family. So whether like your parents are divorced and now you have to split your Christmas instead of just having one day, or whether you yourself are divorced and so you don't get to see your kids for the entire time. Being overwhelmed, if you have children with special needs and them not understanding Santa and not getting Santa, toxic people, like the list goes on and on and on. So I am gonna go through a few of these things today, and I'm here to tell you that if you're not already a subscriber, you should subscribe because my Vlogmas is unlike anyone else's Vlogmas. And for a few years I really struggled with it. I put on this like facade of everything being perfect. Last year that was impossible. Last year was my first Christmas as a widow and a single mom, and you saw a lot of me crying last year. I cried on Christmas Eve because my furnace broke. Like it's not your magical Christmas. I'm not saying you're gonna watch it and feel depressed, but my hope is that by me being completely honest with you, you're going to feel less alone, and we are going to get through the holidays together. My vow to you is to post every single day leading up to Christmas in December. I'm going to do more Facebook Lives, because then at least we can feel like we have someone together to be hanging out with. And we're doing a Facebook Live this Wednesday, which is November 28th, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And I have some Vlogmas announcements. And one of them is so perfect for this thread. I didn't even plan it, but it is like, warms my heart so much. I cannot wait to tell you about it. So there's so many like commonalities in what makes Christmas hard, and it's expectations, it's guilt, it's family, and I can speak to that. Like I am spending Christmas with my family this year for the first time in 7 years. So I get not having family at Christmas. Like I haven't spent Christmas with my mom in 7 years, or my sister, or any of my family. I haven't had Christmas with my brother, I think, since 2002. So yeah, I get it. It's really hard. A lot of people talking about how they, you know, have like magical memories from when they were a kid, and it's virtually impossible to emulate and recreate that as an adult. Lots of people saying they feel like, how on earth did our parents make it so magical? And I can only speak from my personal experience. People also talking about like wanting to make it magical for their kids. For me, like I remember one gift from my entire childhood, and the only reason I remember it is because it was my first big stereo with like the detachable speakers, because I've always been such a music lover. That was in grade 3. I don't remember any gift I ever got ever for Christmas. For Christmas for me, it was like time with family, meals, and it was the only time of year where like all 5 of us would be together. Like my siblings are so much older than me, and so we didn't like hang out growing up really, but Christmas we would. And so for me, that is the magic of Christmas, is like the lights, the tree, the decorating, the spending the time with family. And it's heartbreaking to not be able to do that. So I understand how you feel now. So for me, what I have done is like made my own family, if you will. Like, you know, I spend a lot of time with Leanne's family. They've taken me in basically since I was a teenager. I was there on Christmas Day last year. I had friends over last year to help me decorate, and like had a few different like friends' Christmases. But to be honest, now that I'm hearing how hard it is for so many people, like if I was gonna be here this Christmas, I would be checking in with all my friends and be like, hey, should we get together? There was a lot of comments about like, oh, I only get to spend it with friends, I don't get to spend it with my family. And I think if you can try and like, it's so hard, but if you can try and like reframe it in your brain, like you, instead of feeling like it's a bad thing, try and make it as like nice as possible and as great as possible. Something else I recommend is like, if you are feeling lonely and like everyone else is having the perfect Christmas, stay the hell off of social media, because you don't know if everyone's fighting and that's the only good picture they got all Christmas. You don't know if people are silently like not talking, or it's been terrible, and like everyone's just posting their highlight reel. So do not take that at face value at all. Like stay off social media if you have to, or just check briefly and get off again. And if you're gonna be alone at Christmas or you're feeling lonely, be proactive and make a plan. Like, there is no need to be by yourself. You for sure have friends, colleagues, someone. You just need one person who you can spend time with. And I know it's not the same. Like, I get that. Like, my dad died when I was 19 and Christmas has never been the same since. So I totally understand that it's very difficult, but just try your best to do what you can with what you have. And also, if you are feeling like you just want to get through the season, I also want to remind you, like, you don't have to do anything. There's nothing that you have to do. And I can give you an example. Thomas doesn't understand Christmas, couldn't care less, doesn't get Santa. And for the first few years, it was so hard on me and Jer. Like, so difficult. We would like spend Christmas with his family and we would force Thomas to do Christmas morning. We would sit there and force him to open presents and everyone would just be like disappointed and upset, and Thomas would be upset because he doesn't even want to open presents. Like, he's so not into it. And then we finally were like, why are we forcing this? This is for us. We're not enjoying it. He's not enjoying it. Let's just stop. So we just stopped doing Christmas morning and it was like an instant game changer. You might remember Vlogmas from a few years ago, which devastatingly ended up being our last Christmas together, but we went to a ski hill and we went with Leanne and we didn't do Christmas morning. We had pad thai for dinner. We like went skating. It was magical, you know, like we just totally flipped it. And if there's like aspects of Christmas that you hate, you don't have to do it. Like, there is nothing that says you even have to do Christmas. Like, you could just bypass, just like, it's just winter, you know, not in like a depressed, like close the blinds concerning way, but like, you don't have to decorate. You don't have to do anything. I'm just saying, like, I know there's a lot of expectation and this goes as well with like feeling like you can't afford to give gifts or you don't want to. If you don't want to give someone a gift and you feel like obligated to, I mean, or if you don't have the budget to, I would say talk to people and say like, hey, instead of us exchanging gifts, you know, there's a good chance that it's just gonna be stuff that's instantly gonna go to the thrift store. Like, there's just no point. Why don't we just go for dinner one night? Or why don't you guys come over and we'll do a potluck? Or let's just do a girls like Christmas movie night where we have snacks and wine. Or hey, like instead of giving gifts this year, I'm making a donation to charity. And I'm doing that this year for a lot of my friends, you know, people who have either done that for me, I know will appreciate it, or like, we're adults. What do we really need? Like, we're so lucky and we're so blessed that I would rather spend that like $30 I was gonna spend on a friend times like say 5 people and make a sizable donation. Or my friends and I in the past, we have sponsored a family and then we've like spent our money and bought gifts for like a mom who can't afford it and her kids, or a senior who's gonna be alone, that sort of thing. And it really feels so much better. So I think a lot of it is like, what do you want to do? You, exactly, like you and your family, or you and your kids, if you're a single parent like me, like what is best for you? And if people are forcing you to do something, a lot of what I was reading was like, they'll be really disappointed, they'll be super upset. But I would like to think that if it's a loved one and you talk to them ahead of time and say like, hey, for my daughter's anxiety, or like for my own mental health, or for what's happening right now, I just cannot be in the same room as this person. Just so you know, I know it would be upsetting for you for us to not be here at that exact time, but it's going to be so much worse because it's going to be so tense and stressful and upsetting, and it's not going to be enjoyable. It's not just for the sake of like, we have to be in the same room together. So can we make something work? I know there are a lot of people, especially like older generations, who have their traditions and they're set on them, and if you don't do it, it is like all hell breaks loose. But at some point, I think you need to balance, like, is this really important to my mom? Can I just go along with it and like it'll just make her happy? Or is this something that like firmly is going to ruin my Christmas? Well, like, let's have a conversation with mom ahead of time and say like, hey, can we make something work? Because, you know, people have to be flexible. Things change, families change, the family dynamics change. There was a few comments as well of people who get really overwhelmed at Christmas and they're already starting to feel really agitated about that. And so my advice would be like, plan out time to be alone, or like quiet movie time, or like, hey, we're gonna go for a walk, and like plan those things out for yourself so that you get a break. Because Christmas is supposed to be enjoyable. I think it's supposed to be. But for so many people, it's just wrought with like guilt and expectation and upset. And I think so much of that comes with us like doing stuff that we absolutely do not want to do, but we don't want to upset someone, but we don't even have a conversation. So it's all just like passive aggressive or unsaid. Honestly, there were so many questions and so many comments in this thread that I'm gonna keep this and I'm gonna answer some throughout Vlogmas, and I'm gonna make sure to address a lot of these things and show you examples of me doing things that add to my mental health and my well-being. It's all about like what's best for you. And for me, like going to see my sister for Christmas this year is amazing. I'm so excited. And like right away we were like, we don't need to do gifts. We don't need to do Christmas morning. Like me flying out, you hosting me, that's the most important gift, you know? And so yeah, there's so much that I could talk about. Leave more comments and like specific questions below this video or in the group, but I am gonna save this, like I said, and there are some specifics, especially when it comes to grief and losing people and having to have a new normal when that new normal is not at all what you want. Those kinds of things I'm going to talk about directly, specifically throughout Vlogmas. There was questions about charitable giving when you feel like maybe it's not 100% on the up and up, which I'll talk about as well. So yeah, please leave some more questions. I don't want this to be a downer video. I really hope that this is just making you feel like I am not alone. There are so many people who struggle through Christmas, and if you stick with us and if you're a marathoner, I promise to you, we're gonna get through this together, and before we know it, it's gonna be January and we're all gonna be talking about our friggin' New Year's resolutions. Just kidding. So I am here for you. The marathoner community is here for you. We can get through Christmas together, and I promise you there will be some moments of light and excitement and happiness, and it doesn't have to be stressful. It's okay to say no. It's okay to put yourself first. It's okay to like sit back and think, what do I actually want for Christmas? Not like gifts, like what do I want to do? What's gonna make me feel good? And it's okay to ask for that, because hopefully the people with whom you're spending Christmas love you and they just want what's best for you. So that's it. That's it for today's video. I'm gonna put this up tonight, and yeah, this is, I feel like this is a real shift and a real game changer for Christmas. Just to know that so many people also struggle and we're all in this together. So join us in the Mareathon Facebook group. Join me for Vlogmas, and I promise you we will get through the end of 2018 with some laughs, some smiles, some fun stuff that I've planned for Vlogmas, but on a like realistic level. So thank you for watching. Please lace up, subscribe. Life's not a sprint, it's a marathon, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.